My name is Hanifa, and I'm going to show you all how to carve a pumpkin. Carving pumpkins is a both fun and creative way to decorate houses and show arts. So, first step, you need to make sure that you have everything you need to carve your pumpkin. First of all, you're going to need a pumpkin. Then you're going to need an assortment of knives and like scrapers to make sure that you carve it right. Lastly, you will need not a stencil for the carving and lights to fill up your pumpkin and make it glow, but that's totally optional. All right, so first step is to hollow out your pumpkin. You're going to have, if your pumpkin is a lot bigger than mine, like a normal pumpkin, you're going to have to cut a hole in the top that is large enough to fit your hand inside of it so that you can scrape out the insides. But because my pumpkin is small, my hole doesn't need to be as big. So first, little one, we are going to cut the hole. You can put your hole, it's really hard. Okay, you can put your hole in a lot of different places depending on how you want your pumpkin to be. If you're going to put a candle in your pumpkin, then you're going to need to put the hole at the top where the stem is so that when you put the candle down, the candle won't fall out. If you're putting lights in your pumpkin, then you're going to need to put your hole near like the side or the bottom of the pumpkin. And this is because if it's somewhere else, you won't be able to hide the cords to the lights very well. So all you do is cut your pumpkin. I'm gonna get a different knife. This pumpkin's really hard. What the heck? And you just rip off the top. This can be a little hard if you're not very good at cutting parts. Whoa. Almost out. Gross. Okay, so the next step is to take out all the gross stuff. And you're going to have to empty it out with one of these, and it's called a scraper or a flushing tool. These are pretty easy to find. If you're looking for pumpkin knives, you can usually find them around there. Okay, so because my pumpkin is so small, I'm not gonna use one of those. I'm gonna use a spoon. And if needed, a fork. This process could take a while, especially if you want to make sure that everything is out, because pumpkins, they're full of seeds and guts. Eh. Gross. Almost there. Gross. This takes a while, even with a small pumpkin. You're up. Turn down. Okay, so when you feel you're just about done, like when all the seeds have been taken out, and there's just like a bunch of little pulp against like the pumpkin, I mean, you can't really help that, but as long as the major stuff is out, you're fine. So, oh, I think that was the last seed. Hope so. Got pumpkin all over me. All right. So, after emptying out the pumpkin, your next part to do is carving. So, to start carving, you need a design. You should choose one that you like, well, obviously, because it's your pumpkin. So, people use a lot of different options to designs. Some people use templates and they trace it with markers. Another option is to use a template and to, instead of trace it with a marker, to poke around the perimeter of it with a pin. And this is to make the carving easier because there will already be marks in the pumpkin that are like, it's like when you're using a notebook and you want to rip a page out. It's a lot easier to rip a page out with it's not a lot more successful when the sides are perforated, and that's kind of what we're doing, perforating our pumpkin design. So my template, it's not totally necessary to use a template, it's just about preference. I dropped mine on the floor and back. So what, I dropped it again. Alright, so all I did was take a piece of some kind of cardstock and I cut out the shape that I wanted. You can use like the part that you cut out, you could just put it on there and like go inside because that's one option. And another option is just use the shape that you put out and trace that. I'm going to use the shape. I'm going to be using my needle to perforate it. So just take your shape and do small holes around the perimeter. That way when you get ready to cut it, it'll be easier, especially because you'll not only know where your design is, but you won't get marker all over your hands. This could be tedious. Other side. So after you're done with your template, can't really see the holes, but they're there. It is time to carve. So follow your design, and it's usually easier to use like a really skinny knife like this one, which you can get in like a pumpkin carving kit. So use a slim knife and just follow the design. If I can find my holes. This is one of the longest parts of carving a pumpkin, the actual carving. Ooh,